Thank you, Harry. Thank you for that lovely rendition of Sketchbook with your band. You knock it out of the park every time. Love you. Hey, welcome everyone to the Hugs Not Drugs podcast. This is episode 51, The Hidden Self, Why Self-Discovery is Worth the Journey. The cast today is going to be John G. He's the narrator, educator, and guide. I'm Hugs Not Drugs. I'm the spiritual and wisdom and insight portion. I'll do the intro and the outro. And then we have John Barleycorn. Say something, John Barleycorn. Yeah, I got the same voice as you. Who knew? Okay, I have long-term recovery and I'm a recovery advocate. And then we have the man, the myth, the mayhem, the legend, Dr. Uggs. Yeah, I provide mirth. I provide mayhem. I represent comic relief. God knows this show needs it. And occasionally I sabotage the whole damn thing. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. John G is going to be coming in a minute, but he's going to be the narrator. But let me just do the commercial. Wait a minute. It's my job. Let me do it. By all means. By any means necessary, you mean. Here's, this is sponsored by John Forlenza-Bailey, a prince of a guy. He wrote 2 books. The first one was the Road to Wellness Workbook. That is a workbook for people that are interested in recovery. This workbook is designed to provide education, emotional support, and inspiration to persons suffering from addiction. You need a mentor to do it. Don't try to do it by yourself. It offers step-by-step lessons to people striving to turn their lives around regarding abstinence, relapse prevention, family dynamics, and self-assessment to continue to recover from self. Day by day. Recovery's up to you. Mentors help, journals help. You must exchange and surrender destructive behaviors for constructive ways of handling the day-to-day stressors or triggers of life. No one deserves to continue to suffer from active addiction, and I mean that sincerely. Get better. Do the work. Then he wrote a second book. That was last year. The Transformation of Dr. Uggs. It's my story, for gosh sakes. The Transformation of Dr. Uggs is an original fairy tale, or if you're educated, you might want to say it's an allegory. This explains the progression of the disease of chemical dependency. It's not intended to be a story about blaming others for the acquisition of an illness. This fairy tale is intended to explain, not to blame. It is a story of discovery, insight, acceptance, and finally the right choices to live drug-free if one is chemically dependent. That's the commercials. I'm out until I get in. Okay, John G, take it away.
Welcome to the Hugs Not Drugs podcast, where recovery, wisdom, laughter, spirituality, and personal growth come together. Today's question is a profound one. Why is self-discovery for emotional healing a journey worth the effort? To answer that question, we'll travel through the worlds of psychology, recovery, and spirituality. Along the way, we'll meet 2 giants of psychology, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, who helped us understand the mysterious relationship between our conscious and unconscious minds. As always, I'm joined by Hugs Not Drugs, John Barleycorn, and the one man who can derail a train of thought before it leaves the station, Dr. Uggs.
I prefer the term creative disruptor. And the rest of us prefer the term pain in the neck. Welcome, everybody.
Right, many people enter recovery believing their problem is alcohol, drugs, gambling, food, relationships, or some other behavior. Then sometimes something surprising happens. They discover the behavior was only the symptom. The deeper issue was pain, fear, shame, loneliness, unresolved grief, and unhealed wounds. And just quickly looking through these fear, shame, loneliness, unresolved grief, and unhealed wounds, we have an acronym for fear, FEAR, false evidence appearing real, or forget everything and run, or F everything and run, or face everything and recover. And fear, we find in the recovery movement, is the foundation of all of our defects of character, and that separates us from each other. Shame, as Carl Jung had defined it, is a chronic underlying sense of unworthiness. And I like that definition because it means something that we just really don't understand. It's a sense that no matter what I do, it's never good enough. And then we have loneliness, unresolved grief, and unhealed wounds. Recovery often becomes less about stopping something and more about discovering something, discovering ourselves.
Yeah, Barleycorn here. This was certainly my experience. I thought recovery meant not drinking. Eventually, I discovered recovery meant understanding why I drank. Once I started looking at the causes beneath the behavior, real healing began. I strongly oppose this whole self-discovery business
Why, Dr. Uggs?
because I spent years carefully avoiding myself. Now you're telling me I have to meet me? That sounds exhausting. And yet, freedom often begins where avoidance ends.
Yeah. So, getting to Freud and the unconscious mind, to understand self-discovery, we need to visit the late 1800s. A Viennese physician named Sigmund Freud made a revolutionary proposal. He suggested that much of human behavior is influenced by thoughts, feelings, memories, and desires outside our conscious awareness. This became known as the unconscious mind. Freud compared the mind to an iceberg. The conscious mind was the small portion above water, the 10%, and the unconscious was the vast portion below the surface, the 90%. His idea was shocking for the time. People believed they were mostly rational and fully aware of their motives. Freud argued otherwise.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I've heard people say, I don't know why I keep doing this. Then, after some honest work, they discover the answer was hiding underneath all along.
Exactly. Freud believed unresolved conflicts and painful experiences could be pushed out of awareness through defense mechanisms such as denial, repression, and projection. Sound familiar to anyone in recovery?
Absolutely not. And if it does sound familiar, that's probably somebody else's fault. Projection, right on schedule.
That's right. And so Carl Jung, he expanded this map. Carl Jung began as a student and colleague of Freud. Over time, however, Jung developed his own ideas. While Freud focused heavily on drives and unresolved conflicts, Jung became interested in meaning, spirituality, symbols, dreams, and personal growth. Jung believed that healing was not merely about fixing problems, it was about becoming whole. He called this process individuation, the journey of becoming who we truly are.
Yeah, Jung recognized something spiritual traditions had long taught. There are parts of ourselves we have not met yet. The journey inward is not simply psychological, it can also be spiritual.
Yeah, one of Jung's most famous ideas was the shadow. The shadow contains parts of ourselves um, we deny, reject, or we hide. Sometimes it includes anger, sometimes it includes fear, sometimes jealousy, sometimes talents and strengths we never fully accepted.
Wait. Uh, you mean my shadow is mischievous? Like, who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men? The shadow
I do.
knows. No. Your shadow is probably trying to become responsible. Poor thing.
Yeah, and the shadow, Rumi, the great Persian poet, used to refer to the shadow as the way in. So I think that's interesting, and you could look up more about Rumi and talking about the way into enlightenment is through the shadow energy, looking through our darkness. So conscious versus subconscious or unconscious, the conscious mind versus the unconscious mind. Let's define these terms. The conscious mind includes what we're aware of right now: thoughts, choices, plans, decisions. The unconscious includes material operating beneath awareness. These are things like habits. Dr. Ruggs, I could see you biting your nails as we speak. Emotional reactions, yeah. Old wounds, beliefs, memories, automatic responses. When people say, I don't know why I reacted that way, or I keep making the same mistakes, they're often describing unconscious influences. What do you think, John Barleycorn?
Yeah, recovery taught me that my unconscious mind often drove the bus, while my conscious mind sat in the back wondering where we're going. Mine drives without a license. Yeah, healing occurs when awareness begins catching up with behavior.
Yeah. And so the benefits of this self-discovery, this individuation, as Jung put it, why is self-discovery worth the effort? Well, here are several reasons. Greater self-awareness. When we understand our patterns, we stop being surprised by them. Better relationships. Understanding ourselves helps us to understand others. Reduced emotional reactivity. Awareness creates space between feeling and action. I could use the stop technique. Stop, T, take a breath. O, observe what's going on and then pick a behavior. So awareness creates that space between feeling and action. I can respond instead of just reacting. Freedom from repetition. We stop repeating the old mistakes automatically. And greater meaning. Life begins feeling more purposeful than accidental. Um, what do you think, John Barleycorn?
Yeah, one of the recovery gifts is realizing that every difficult experience can become a teacher. Pain can become wisdom. Even though I'm never saying thank you for the pain, it does become my teacher. Mistakes can become lessons. Losses can become growth.
Yeah, that's great. It makes me think of the great Sandy Beach. And as you had talked about, John, how he would look at these as opportunities, instead of feeling remorse and regret by understanding that it's our strength through facing our adversity, facing everything and recover that we can grow. And every time this happens, to change our perspective from looking at this as falling into the abyss, as maybe it's a new opportunity.
John, that's all well and good, but talk about the downside here, the challenges of self-discovery. Talk about that for a minute.
Sure, Dr. Ruggs. All right. Well, self-discovery isn't always comfortable. That's why we stay in denial. Sometimes we uncover painful truths about ourselves. We may find old resentments that we haven't processed. We have unresolved grief. We have fear, and we've talked about that already. The FEAR, fear, shame, that chronic underlying sense of unworthiness. And then we have regret. And boy, do our egos love regret. And this could be really overwhelming at first.
Really? A reason to stay distracted. I set you up, didn't I? I recommend television snacks and avoiding all emotional growth. Yeah, how's that strategy working for you, Dr. Uggs? Terribly. Thank you for asking. Okay, hugs, not drugs here. Growth often feels uncomfortable because we are moving beyond familiar territory, but discomfort is not danger. Often it is evidence that healing is underway. John G., talk about recovery and self-discovery for us again.
Yeah, many recovery programs emphasize self-examination. That's the great gift that I found in AA. And it's not to create guilt, it's not to create shame. Actually, it's to transform shame into love through service, but it's to create awareness. Awareness leads to responsibility. Responsibility leads to change, and change leads to the freedom that we seek. What do you think, John Barleycorn?
You're nailing it, John G. The more honest I became with myself, the less power my problems had over me. Secrets lose power when brought into the light. We're only as sick as our secrets. What do you say, Hugs Not Drugs? Same voice as me. Yeah, spiritual growth and emotional growth often travel together. Spiritual growth and emotional growth often travel together. And we discover ourselves. We also discover compassion. We discover forgiveness, we discover humility, we discover connection, and we discover hope. Close us out, John G.
Yes, so why is self-discovery worth the effort? Because what remains hidden often controls us. We're only as sick as our secrets. What becomes understood can be healed. Freud taught us that unseen forces influence behavior. Jung taught us that the journey inward can lead us to wholeness and self-individuation. Recovery teaches us that honesty, courage, and willingness can transform our lives. And spirituality reminds us that we are more than our wounds. We are capable of growth, we're capable of healing, and we are capable of becoming whole.
I discovered something important. What's that? I'm afraid to ask, but what's that? Apparently, I've been the problem in several of my situations. Congratulations. Now, that's what I call progress. The journey inward is not always easy, but it's almost always worthwhile. For within self-discovery, we often find the very healing we have been seeking. Closing out, John G. Got
Yeah.
anything to say?
Well, thanks for joining us again for another episode of the Hugs Not Drugs podcast. And remember, recovery is an inside job. Together we heal. And until next time, be kind to yourself and each other. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, take us out, Harry, on this wonderful episode of Conscious versus Unconscious. We need them both. Love you guys.